The political landscape today is vastly different from what it was during the Renaissance, but one piece of literature continues to resonate, providing key insights into power, governance, and human nature. The Prince, written by Niccolò Machiavelli in 1513, has remained one of the most widely read and controversial works in political theory. Often quoted, misquoted, and sometimes vilified for its unapologetic analysis of political power, it asks a profound question. In the pursuit of political power, how far can one go? Though written centuries ago, the ideas contained in Machiavelli's treatise still find relevance in modern politics. From international diplomacy to domestic governance, the political strategies outlined in The Prince appear in the actions of today's leaders. Whether directly or indirectly, Machiavelli's ideas shape the way we understand authority, leadership, and the balance of power. But does the relevance of this 16th century work truly extend into the 21st century? Or is it a relic of a bygone age? In this essay, we will examine why The Prince remains crucial in understanding contemporary political strategies, leadership, and Realpolitik. We're excited to take you on an exploration of one of history's most profound political texts, The Prince. Whether you're a political enthusiast, a history buff, or just someone curious about the ways in which past political theories shape our current world, you're in the right place. Today, we'll dive into how this influential work by Niccolò Machiavelli remains as significant today as it was when it was written. We'll dissect its key themes, its enduring influence, and how modern political figures continue to utilize Machiavellian tactics in shaping the global and local political landscape. But before we get into the details, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss any of our in-depth analyses of political and philosophical works. Join us on this exciting journey through history, politics, and beyond. Machiavelli's The Prince presents itself as an instruction manual for politicians and rulers on how to gain, maintain, and consolidate power. At first glance, it may seem to advocate for ruthless or manipulative tactics, but Machiavelli's goal was more nuanced. He aimed to create a work that was grounded in reality, a political guide for navigating the complexities of power, rather than an idealistic fantasy about what political leadership should look like. Machiavelli's work discusses a range of topics, including the importance of military power, the manipulation of public perception, and the delicate balance of fear and love in leadership. What makes The Prince such a fascinating read in the context of modern politics is its direct address of human nature. Machiavelli doesn't deal with idealized leaders, but focuses on pragmatic strategies based on the real-world behavior of people, whether they are subjects, enemies, or allies. In today's political climate, the same raw human emotions and desires that Machiavelli explored are present. The lust for power, fear, and ambition, all of which remain just as relevant in the age of social media, global diplomacy, and corporate influence. Machiavelli's key principles and their modern applications. The end justifies the means. One of the most infamous tenets of Machiavelli's thought is the idea that the end justifies the means. In modern terms, this can be interpreted as the belief that politicians and leaders should do whatever is necessary to secure and maintain power, even if it means employing morally questionable methods. This concept has been echoed by many contemporary leaders throughout history, often to controversial effect. For instance, in the world of business, political figures have often resorted to pragmatic but ethically dubious decisions to achieve certain goals, whether that involves backroom deals, manipulation of information, or strategic compromises. Political campaigns today, especially in the digital age, are filled with tactics that may be seen as underhanded. Think of the use of fake news, disinformation, or highly polarizing rhetoric, all tools that can be linked back to Machiavellian strategies of power preservation. Leaders understand that to win in politics, they often must engage in calculated moves, regardless of the ethical consequences. Virtù and Fortuna, the role of skill and luck in political success. Machiavelli introduced the concepts of virtù, personal skill, leadership and adaptability, and fortuna, luck or fortune, as pivotal elements in determining the success of a ruler. While virtù refers to the qualities and actions of a leader, determination, foresight, and decisiveness, Fortuna refers to the unpredictable forces of luck or fate. In modern politics, virtù can be seen in leaders who successfully maneuver through crises, maintain public support, and adapt to rapidly changing circumstances. A prime example of this is Winston Churchill's leadership during World War II, where his resilience, foresight, and willingness to make tough decisions exemplified Machiavellian principles. On the other hand, fortuna is just as important. History is full of political leaders who were able to seize the moment because of a twist of fate, whether it was an unexpected turn of events or the missteps of rivals. Politicians today still deal with this delicate balance of skill and luck. The rise of figures like Barack Obama or Donald Trump can be seen as a combination of their personal virtue and timely fortune. Obama's 2008 election victory was, in part, a result of the economic crisis of the time, but his personal charm and political acumen played a pivotal role. Similarly, Trump's rise can be attributed to both his ability to capitalize on public discontent and the political dynamics of the era. The importance of reputation and public perception. Machiavelli was a keen observer of how rulers were viewed by their subjects, arguing that public perception played a crucial role in the stability of a regime. A leader must manage their image and control the narrative, often using propaganda, charisma, or strategic actions to maintain their status. This is an especially pertinent idea in the modern era of media-driven politics. The use of social media by politicians like Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, and other populist leaders highlights the Machiavellian importance of manipulating public perception. Trump's adept use of Twitter, for example, allowed him to directly communicate with his base, bypassing traditional media channels. Similarly, Putin's control over Russian state media has allowed him to maintain a favorable public image despite international criticisms. This modern practice mirrors Machiavelli's assertion that a ruler must be constantly aware of how they are perceived by the public to maintain control. The role of fear versus love. One of the most debated aspects of The Prince is Machiavelli's argument that it is better to be feared than loved, if a leader cannot be both. He suggests that fear is a more reliable motivator, as love is fickle and subject to change. While many leaders try to cultivate loyalty through affection, fear can ensure obedience and deter dissent. In contemporary politics, this idea is visible in how leaders use fear, whether of external enemies, terrorism, or social unrest, to unite people under their leadership. Authoritarian regimes, for instance, often rely on fear to consolidate power and justify repressive actions. Leaders like Kim Jong-un, who has maintained power through a combination of fear and strict control over his people, embody the idea that a ruler must, at times, employ fear as a tool for political survival. The necessity of a strong military. Machiavelli places significant emphasis on the importance of military strength in the maintenance of political power. A ruler without an army is vulnerable to both internal rebellion and external threats. This principle is still highly relevant in modern politics, where a nation's military capacity is a key factor in its global standing and political security. Today, military strength remains a critical component of national power, with global superpowers like the United States and China continuing to invest heavily in their military forces. The global balance of power is often determined by military alliances and capabilities, and leaders like NATO's Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg continue to emphasize the need for strong, adaptable military forces in the face of geopolitical instability. Machiavelli's theories often overlap with the concept of Realpolitik, which prioritizes pragmatic political decisions over ideological or moral considerations. Realpolitik is a term used to describe policies that are driven by practical rather than ethical considerations, and it has shaped foreign policy in many contemporary nations. In recent decades, we've seen examples of leaders engaging in Realpolitik, where decisions are made based on national interest rather than democratic ideals. For instance, U.S. foreign policy during the Cold War was often defined by Realpolitik, as the U.S. supported authoritarian regimes when it was in its strategic interest to contain the spread of communism. Similarly, modern-day relationships between Western countries and authoritarian regimes like Saudi Arabia reflect a continuation of Machiavellian and Realpolitik principles, where economic and strategic considerations often outweigh concerns about human rights. Though Niccolò Machiavelli's The Prince was written over 500 years ago, its insights into power, leadership, and human nature remain startlingly relevant in the modern political landscape. Machiavelli's exploration of the ruthless realities of power, his recognition of the dual forces of virtue and fortuna, his focus on reputation and manipulation, and his pragmatic approach to governance, continue to offer valuable lessons for political leaders today. Whether it is the importance of a strong military, the use of fear and manipulation, or the unflinching pursuit of power, Machiavelli's ideas persist as a guide for modern statesmen and politicians. The continued relevance of The Prince speaks to the timeless nature of its insights. It reminds us that, despite changes in technology, society, and culture, the fundamental aspects of human behavior, power dynamics, and political survival remain constant. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Machiavelli's The Prince and its relevance in modern politics, make sure to subscribe to the Unfolding Journey YouTube channel. Stay tuned for more thought-provoking analyses of history, philosophy, and political theory. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you can join us on this fascinating journey as we continue to explore the connections between the past and the present.